this up a bit so that I can see. Boy, I realized something when the little thing was up on the stool here. I thought, my God, I forgot to have children. What a relief. Well, you might think that, you might just be asking yourself, does that old biddy think she can do stand-up? Shouldn't she be home drinking tea or knitting muffins or online ordering her coffin? But no, here I stand, complete with a tremor and resting bitch face. And orthopedic sneakers. No, it's true, I have a tremor, but it's not because I'm old. It's because I am lucky. And the gods shine their faces down upon me. Good audience here tonight. I didn't even need the sarcasm sign. Smart people. Well, this past year was a big year for me. I got married. And my wife, Evelyn, is here somewhere tonight. She gave me permission to speak. And now she and I got together long before it was legal for lesbians to get married. For 45 years, we have been living in sin. But, you know, we didn't always, well, after 45, I'm going to ask you, this is an important question. By applause, do we have any straight people here tonight? Well, welcome. This is a safe place for you. So, after 45 years, I popped the question. I did not yield. These knees go down, but they do not come up. Not unless there's a forklift on the premises. But we were, when I asked Evelyn, before she said yes, she said, I got quite a lot going on, she said. Let me check my book. Oh yeah, she said, well, mani-pedi, oh, I can do that anytime. Oh, she said, cataract operation. I should bring that forward so I can see to read my vows. Oh, here's something I can postpone. It's my date for M-A-I-D, maid. Anyway, we were thinking about our ceremony, what kind of ceremony. We did have a short engagement because at our age you can't afford to wait for anything. But, so as we were planning the ceremony, we thought, no to a romantic wedding on top of a cliff. Our balancing just wasn't what it used to be. And we nixed the idea of the double bungee jump ceremony. I think that the double bungee jump is too much like the marriage itself. You hold hands, you close your eyes, you leap over the edge, there's a big rush of bliss, and then you're jerked back into your ordinary lives, and you're left there, hanging. No, we got married in a restaurant because what turns us on is a meal that somebody else cooks. Nothing is as sacred as dining out. But I can see a few of you go to that church. So we had, back in the day when people were thinking about, acting and acting up and activated about getting gay marriage made legal, many people in the queer community were in favor of it, but not me. I was against it. And a lot of people agreed with me. People I don't usually agree with, like Pierre Poilievre, Donald Trump, and from my high school, Marion the librarian. I can't stand those people. I can't stand those people. They're wrecking the language. It used to be my friends and I'd be at a party and somebody would say, "Aren't we having a gay old time?" You can't say gay anymore. And then my granny used to have fainting fits. And we would say, "Granny's taking a queer turn." And the alphabet, they wrecked the alphabet. What with the LGBTQSSI whatever, there's hardly any good letters left. If some other group wants to abbreviate themselves. And pride. Can't any of the rest of us have pride? On top of it all, they stole the rainbow. The rainbow is a sign of God's promise. Now, I can't remember exactly what he was promising, but it sure as heck wasn't a bunch of half-naked men prancing down the street in high heels. All right, Marion, that's enough for you tonight, thank you. Anyway, being against gay marriage as I was, it was weird to find myself on the same side of the issue as the Pope and TV evangelists and, all of the American armed forces. But I thought there are some things about marriage that queer people just don't deserve. Like having to pay $70,000 or $80,000 for a wedding. And divorce. Queer people don't deserve divorce. But don't get me wrong, I'm all in favor of equal rights for queer people and straight people. All of you mixed here tonight, just like nothing's going on. So I came up with a solution. I thought we would just abolish marriage for everybody. I was before my time. Anyway, we'd save a lot of money if we didn't buy those big white dresses that get worn once and then eventually thrown out, usually right after the divorce. And if we didn't throw out those big dresses, we would save a lot of animals' lives. Down at the landfill, there would be no rats choking to death on seed pearls. There would be no raccoons garroted by blue garters. And no bear would get shot because somebody thought he was a ghost lumbering around in tulle and white satin. No, But there's one thing marriage is good for, and that's long-term planning. That is, if you're in it for the long term. I've been hearing some brides talking. I think they don't get the concept of long term. Oh, this is my starter marriage. I picked him because I think he'll make a great ex-husband. Third time lucky. You know, governments don't do long-term planning. They just, they plan until the next election. What would marriage be like if we just planned until the next election? Things would be going along fine for 3.5 years or so, and then you'd have to campaign to get signed on for another term. There would have to be flowers and a new sex manual, and you might even have to do some housework. And it'd only be 2 of you, so it'd be hard to get a majority. So maybe the in-laws would have some say. Gee, it's snowing again. I think I'll just pop over and clear your dad's driveway for him. Gee, honey, wouldn't it be good if we took your parents on a cruise this winter? What do you mean they're coming to stay for 6 weeks? Oh, well, why don't you invite them for 2 months? Yes, I'd love to see them again. You can see how it would be. And then when the kids come along, of course, they'd have a vote too. Toddlers would be fine, a little couple of new stuffies and a lot of sugar. You'd win in a landslide. But what about the 12-year-olds? Who would want to run for the parenting term between 12 and 16? And what would you have to promise a 16-year-old to get them to let you be in charge until they were 20? No, couldn't do that. Anyway, that is what you get when you give an old biddy a spotlight and a microphone. So thanks for laughing.